Crypto King is not a financial advisor.
You gon' learn today, you gon' learn today, you gon' learn today. Had to get it off, why not be the boss? Started in Tampa Bay. Life in the matrix will crumble you. Poverty struggle will humble you. Florida State, relocate, pack my bags and I moved to Colombia. Hola mujeres bonitas, they say that it's cheaper to keep her. That's why I learn more than two. Crypto, I'm learning you. Learn crypto TV is turning to. Please don't waste my time. Yeah. Please don't waste my time. Learn today. Crypto TV. Please don't waste my time. Learn Crypto TV. Please don't waste my time. Learn Crypto TV.
Learn Crypto TV family, what's happening today? On today's episode, we got a little special episode for you. I just wanted to bring to your attention and talk to you about why the Metaverse was created and NFTs. You know, there's an underlying factor here with all of this stuff. And if you didn't know, this whole crypto thing and digital currency and all of this all has a spiritual component connected to it. And that's why I'm a proponent or a advocate for crypto, because you have an opportunity to, you know, get yourself set up to be a part of the new asset class, create possibly generational wealth for yourself while you still have an opportunity to do so, and also learn about how to not walk off the ledge, if you will, with how and where this is all going to end up. So what I want to do is show you this 8-minute clip of a story about this company called Neuralink, and some of you may be familiar with this because a lot of you are Elon Musk followers, and if you are, then you know that he has 3 companies: Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. So with this 8-minute clip, you're going to discover what Neuralink has done in the way of what they call discoverable science or breakthrough science, or whatever the case may be, for people who are in a paraplegic state or can no longer use their limbs, meaning their arms and legs, and they have to be dependent upon people. But the key thing to this is that it has to do with computer chips and your conscience. Take a look at this 8-minute video, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about why I believe this here is leading down the path to what is being explained in this video. Let's check it out.
But a paralyzed man from Arizona has had a microchip implanted in his brain that allows him to control a computer with his thoughts. Nolan Arbor was injured in a diving accident, but now, after years of being totally dependent on others, Nolan says his life is transformed.
Welcome back, everyone. We've all seen movies like The Matrix, which show characters who can blur the line between man and machine. In our current reality, some are on the same journey, putting technology inside of their bodies with microchips. But how high are the risks, and what are the rewards? And what could this mean for our collective future?
In an instant, Nolan's life changed, and the most basic tasks were not doable.
You just have sort of no control, no privacy, and it's hard. And you just have to learn that you have to rely on other people for everything.
But 8 years on, Nolan became the first person to get this brain device from Neuralink, a US neurotechnology firm whose founder is Elon Musk.
I just imagine the sensation or what it might look like to wiggle my fingers, something along those lines, and I could get the cursor to move. Now I could actually control my computer with just my thoughts.
A handful of other companies have also developed and implanted similar chips. So how do these brain chips work?
The device is sitting in the motor region of the brain. It's picking up when someone's thinking about like tapping their fingers. It can create what we call a digital motor output. And that's what's being used with a computer directly to click on things.
Back in Arizona, Nolan hopes his brain power means a fulfilling future.
When you guys come together every year, what is the big wish list item that you all hope to one day make?
The thing everyone wants is Neuralink. It's frustrating because it's out there, but we don't know how it's built. So if Elon was willing to open source all of his stuff like we do, that'd be great. It works on the premise that your brain's electrical signals can interface with a computer's electrical signals. That is the dream. That is the Johnny Mnemonic, everyone's favorite movie in biohacking.
Upload begins when you press here.
Or uploading information like in the Matrix.
Cozy. I know Kung Fu.
There's definitely potential.
In real life transhuman hacker himself, Len No joins us. Len.
Thank you for having me.
I've got a quick question to just kick things off. Why?
Well, that is that's usually the big question. It actually started with the concept of why not? Okay. So, to be honest, this was more of a progression. You don't live a pretty normal, vanilla life and then just wake up one morning and say, wow, today's the day I'm going to start shoving microchips in my arms.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more of a progression. I started with tattoos, got into standard body modifications, piercings.
Standard
augmentation.
I've got a tattoo. Does that mean I'm going to get chipped up?
Well, that depends. You know, if you're fortunate enough to get it, you never know.
Oh my! What can you run us through your setup? Is that the right?
What are the specs?
Yeah, what are the specs? What implants do you
I'm
have?
one of the few people that actually comes with my own hardware list. So this would actually be the largest one.
Whoa. That looks like a Jats cracker. Is that right?
What is it?
This is an NFC and RFID implant. So this allows me to actually interface to the same technologies on your cell phones that you use to tap to pay with. I can also use it to get into physical restrictions like your badging system in this beautiful building. I could skim one of your cards, write it down to one of my implants, and just walk up and open the door.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
But when you say that, right, so if you skim the card, then how are you entering that
I need
information?
an additional tool, but most of the time I can get away with just...
When you say additional tool, you mean a computer?
No, most of the time I mean my cell phone. I can actually program these on the fly.
Really? Sorry, so what you're saying is you can walk into a secure building, like, say, this one, and just find your way in.
Yep.
With your cell phone and your
I wouldn't bring the cell phone with me.
You just do that just by
I would skim the card. Like, hypothetically, you have amazing staff here that are just lovely people, but I've watched them sit there and badge in. If I was able to skim one of those cards, I would leave this building, write it down to one of the implants, leave all of my cell phones, all my electronics outside, and I would basically walk into your building.
Okay.
If I was caught, the fact that these are inside my body actually gives me protection under medical privacy laws to the point where the authorities can't even ask me about them.
Oh, we need to change those laws. Okay, but hang on. All right, okay. I get this. I get you saying you're using it for good.
Yes, sir.
What I don't get is why any human should be allowed to have that capability.
Well, the ability for self-experimentation, it goes all the way back to Isaac Newton. So a lot of the greatest medical benefits that we've actually have in the modern age were originally started by people experimenting on themselves.
But I do believe that we are very early in that science. We are still learning about how the brain works in general. So the idea that a brain-computer interface, something that you would implant into the brain, can reveal these benefits, I think it would be really difficult because there's so much that we don't know.
When it comes to Neuralink, though, at the grassroots level, the level where the grinders are, there's a lot of concern about putting something inside the brain that will be collecting information directly from your body in such an intimate way. That technology being owned and operated by some kind of external entity is a source of profound concern.
I feel like the first people that can afford implants are going to be the millionaires. And a lot of the reason why the grinders do what they do is so that the technology can be for everyone.
Grinding and biohacking is so invested in the DIY model because it puts the technology and the information in the hands of the makers to share their vision of the future.
I genuinely believe that a lot of what's going on here helps trans people, disabled people, elderly people in the rest of the world, because we're thinking about, okay, what is it like when your body isn't working the way it's supposed to?
I'm trying to do blood glucose using vibrations with a small passive implant. This is the bleeding edge. people taking their own autonomy into their hands and moving biomedical science and engineering forward.
This is the place where you can show up and have some wacky idea and someone will go, no, actually, we can make that real and we're going to do it now.
What do you say to those people who might think this is insane?
To someone who thinks it's insane, I would probably say, just come hang out with us for a bit. I bet you any money by the end of the weekend you're going to leave with a microchip.
Again, back to the first, but why?
Well, if you go into some high security areas in governments and organizations, they will actually tell you that you have to leave your electronics in a locker before you go in. I would be able to then walk through restricted locations with technology that are actually actively pinging out for other network devices, potentially trying to auto-attack devices that it finds.
You're Batman.
Yeah.
Closer to Cyborg.
Okay, well,
both in the DC universe, I'll take it.
I don't know whether I'm scared, impressed,
we don't
both.
know,
It's
but you're
wild.
intriguing, yes.
But if I may answer your question from before, to protect yourself against this, most of the attacks against mobile devices can be solved by simply turning off that NFC. The problem is, as a society, we push towards the use of contactless payments, trying to use our cell phones. But that is the same technology that I can take advantage of. So to
cash.
Cash.
That's it. Cash.
Len has a book coming out called Human Hacked, My Life and Lessons. As the world's first augmented ethical hacker, would you please, thank Len No.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, family, so now you're back. Now, you just looked at and witnessed this whole video about the guy who got a chip implanted on his skull and his brain to be able to control things with his thoughts, or control the computer with his thoughts, making him less dependent upon human interaction, and him being able to get some sort of a pulse of being able to do things on his own as once before. But however, think about this, fam. I tell you guys all the time that they didn't create the metaverse. They didn't create all of this stuff for nothing. We don't want to go down the road for CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies, because that's just government overreach, and they're trying to control how you access, spend your funds, or your your crypto monedas or cryptocurrency. So CBDCs we definitely don't want. This here is another example of something that I think it will be more bad on society than it would be good. The spiritual component says that it has to happen because there has to be a one world government system, there has to be a one world financial system, and there has to be a one world religious system, which we already see has been into place. Some of you guys see that with the bumper stickers on the back of the cars in America that says coexist, and it's spelled out, but using all of the different world religions and their symbols together. So that right there is a direct indicator to let you know that they're merging all this stuff together. You also hear globalization. You hear that word all the time. And globalization simply means just bringing all of the world and its resources and how it runs, bring it together under one system. You're looking at a government right now for the crypto markets, I believe is being manipulated. This is my opinion. I could be dead wrong, but I think that is being manipulated, and the economy is being crashed down. Burn off everything right now and then come back later and enjoy the good later. But all of the people who are not paying attention, all of the people who have weak hands with their holdings and they're letting this stuff go, then you're missing out on you're going to miss out on a massive opportunity to be able to create wealth for yourself. All you have to do is be patient. A lot of people been sitting around waiting on this bull run to take off, me included. But at the same time, we've already been waiting. If you got in back in 2020, 2021, we already been waiting 3-4 years already. So what's for a few more months? You know, we possibly could go into the Q4 this year, you know, with these gains. But nevertheless, you have to still set yourself up. I know I got off a track a little bit, but I said all that to say this. Evolution is going to happen. You saw that with this last story. Do you really think that they not going to upload people conscious to the metaverse? You know, you just saw this story. It's going to happen. You know, they're going to have some type of pilot program to where they're going to say, hey, look, why don't you come on down and let's do practice experiments, much like they did the jab with a lot of you guys who went and took that jab. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. What happened back in 2020 March when Bitcoin was down at $3,000 and you should have bought me too, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, it's going to be a large test experiment on people because it's going to seem cool at first, you know. But in my opinion, they're trying to say that they can create a better human being than God. That's just how I see it. Well, that's where the buck stops at for me. I'm not putting a chip in my brain to upload no conscience to no metaverse. You know what I'm saying? I'll invest in the metaverse, and if it comes to fruition while I'm still alive, then I'll have money, you know, coming from it from there. That's how I look at it. Likewise with all the cryptocurrency. A lot of people tend to say that this is the mark of the beast and all this, and that's completely incorrect. This right here, what I'm showing you right now, is more closely aligned to the mark of the beast system than the actual crypto itself, you know, because you have a lot of crypto projects out here that has absolutely nothing to do with what is talked about spiritually in the basic instruction before leaving Earth. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the video that I wanted to talk to y'all and share with y'all today. You know, I didn't want to make it too long because I wanted to grab your attention and give you something to think about. But this is the reason why you should be looking at crypto projects like has a blockchain attached to the metaverse, or metaverse projects, or NFTs, because at some point in time in the future, this is all going to merge together to create a digital digital system to where everything is going to be operated in virtual reality or augmented reality. So you need to remember that, man. So you know, look at Earth 2, or you know, platforms like Upland, or you know, Decentraland, or you know, any metaverse platforms. If you go to CoinGecko.com, again, I showed y'all how you can break it down into categories, and you can go see each one of those crypto projects that's touching exactly in the metaverse and NFTs. But we'll stop the video right here just to give you something to ponder. Remember, like, subscribe, and share to the channel if you haven't done so already, and leave your questions and your comments down below, fam. You know, if you have anything or you need to reach out to me for anything, hit me up at CryptoKingCarlos@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer and service your questions, or get you whatever the information that you are requesting or that's needed for your investing future within digital currency. So outside of that, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see y'all on the next episode.